Hey, welcome to the Recklessly Skeptical podcast. Today is January 22nd, 2017, and my name is Joe.
My name's David.
And my name is David.
You punks.
This is Josh.
And this is Matt. Josh and I realized we have the same middle name today, so
it was weird.
we're both going to go by David.
That's weird how it took so long for us to figure that out.
I know. We've been friends for like 3 years now, and we just barely figured it out.
Yeah, that's crazy. My middle name's Aaron.
Oh.
Aaron.
Are you sure it's
Aaron.
Aaron.
Erin?
Huh?
It's not Erin?
No, it's not Aaron. It's Aaron.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah, thanks for listening to the Recklessly Skeptical podcast.
Oh, yeah. All right, guys, should we do the stolen thought?
No.
Well,
I'm always going to say no.
you should stop saying no.
Oh, okay.
All right, so this one comes from Edward Gibbon. He's an English historian, writer, and member of Parliament. And I think this quote is fitting, and I'm sure you guys and everybody listening has heard it before. So, quote, "Religion is regarded by the common people as true, by the wise as false, and by the rulers as useful." And if you guys watched the inauguration on Friday, the beginning had 3 different people come up to speak, and they were all praying or giving some sort of religious talk. And Trump brought up God and religion in his talk. And I just think it's interesting because Trump, I don't think he's religious at all. So I think it's just useful for him. He got the religious right to vote for him.
Well, yeah, and I mean, the term useful idiot has a meaning, and it's for people who accept the propaganda and turn around and preach it without really actually thinking about the shit critically.
Or doing any research or, making sure that what they're spewing out is true.
Yeah, and with fake news nowadays, as loud and proud as it is, useful idiots are everywhere now. Jesus.
Yeah, not just on the right, but on the left and
Everywhere in between.
Yep.
So, I want to actually do some practical science. I learned this cool science thing that I want to have Joe.
So why are you handing me batteries?
I'm handing you 2 batteries because I need one to put in my mouse, so my mouse is useful. The other one was the one that was in my mouse.
That is dead, right?
That is dead.
Okay.
So there's a way to tell without looking at either of them, like inspecting them to try and figure out which one's the old one, which one's the new one.
Am I going to get shocked?
No. I want you to take the batteries, hold it so that the bottom of the battery is facing the table. And so, dangle them.
Like dangle them both?
No, the opposite way. The bottom is facing the table. And now what you're going to look for is which one bounces and which one doesn't.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's true.
So I'm dropping them both.
Yeah, and I'd probably put them a little closer to the table. And do it. Now you know which one is live and which one's dead.
So is the one
that one
more
bounced,
time.
right?
Yeah, that one bounced.
So one bounced and fell over. The other one is still standing. Is the one standing the good battery?
The one that bounces is the bad battery.
Yeah, this one bounced more and fell over.
So that one's the bad one. We just give me the good one. And
so apparently that's the good one.
Yes.
So you're going to put it back into your mouse and see if it works.
Science told me that it's the good one.
That's pretty cool.
So now if you can do this at home. If you have any dead batteries like in a remote control and you have a new battery and you want to test this out, just drop the bottom of the battery against a hard table and one will bounce, one won't, and you know which one is which.
This one didn't really bounce.
Yeah, and this table isn't the best because it's plastic and
it gives.
Yeah.
But that one definitely bounced more than the other one.
Yeah.
So we know that that's the bad one. That's don't drop it on your computer because your computer has magnets in it.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Alrighty, guys. So I wanted to start this podcast off with a cool story, a good story. Let's feel good inside.
Let's do.
So this is coming from Huffington Post. Pro-weed group in D.C. gives away more than 8,000 joints on Inauguration Day.
Groovy.
Yes. A group that worked to legalize marijuana in Washington, D.C. handed out thousands of joints in the city on Inauguration Day to support the reform of federal cannabis law. Members of the group, DCMJ, began their giveaway called #Trump420 early Friday at DuPont Circle, a historic downtown neighborhood filled with restaurants and shops just a mile from President Donnie Tiny Hands new digs at the White House.
President Donnie Tiny Hands.
I stole that.
Oh,
It's
did
not
you?
mine.
It's a stolen thought.
So wait, where at DuPont Street or
DuPont Circle, it's a historic downtown neighborhood in Washington, D.C.
is it named after the DuPont guy?
Fuck, it probably is. I didn't think about that because that's the guy that helped get marijuana illegal,
Yeah.
like way back in the day. I bet that's why.
Yeah.
That's a good point, Joe. So Amanda Frizz, a 26-year-old DCMJ activist, told the Huffington Post that by 11:30 a.m., the group had given away their entire stash of more than 8,000 joints, almost double their giveaway goal of 4,200.
Makes me wonder how much pot that was.
Oh, you're going to find out.
Oh, okay.
It's interesting. We want to make America kind again, Frizz said. We want people to be open-hearted and not judgmental. That happened today. Frizz said volunteers began rolling the joints at least 3 weeks ago and used 10 pounds of weed donated by local growers. Late in the morning, some of the activists broke away from the marijuana giveaway to march toward the inauguration ceremony, where they lit up their joints 4 minutes and 20 seconds into Trump's inauguration speech. Frizz said the group's smoke session resulted in 0 arrests.
Now, where was this at? At the inauguration?
Yeah, they marched toward it.
So in D.C.
Yes, this is all in D.C.
Is pot legal in D.C.?
Yes.
It is? Okay.
Yeah. The free distribution of weed is perfectly legal under D.C. law, which allows people...
Oh, my God. I should just shut up.
No, it's fine. People to possess up to 2 ounces of the drug, but bars smoking it in public places or selling it. So they could have been arrested for smoking it out in the public, but they weren't. We're trying to show that cannabis is an issue that is an American issue. DCMJ co-founder Nicholas... Oh, shit, my computer just went weird.
You're going to want to hit F5, I think? It was just F4 or F5 that refreshes the screen. F4? Or you can right-click on the tab and then hit reload. Oh, Control R.
Oh.
It's Chrome.
Oh, wait, we're here.
Awesome.
Yep.
Technical difficulties.
So, and that was almost the end. It does go on to say some of the fear regarding this administration with Jeff Sessions, because he said good people don't smoke marijuana. Yeah.
That's so dumb. It's like some of the best people I know smoke marijuana.
Dude,
Yeah, and
everybody smokes marijuana. Like
Yeah.
a huge...
What in the
What is
shit?
hard water?
That's
Matt-
one of the risks. You got to mute your tabs.
You crazy guy.
I'm not a computer guy.
But, yeah, how hard would it be to give away 10 pounds of marijuana if you had 10 pounds of marijuana? Just have it in your lap and you're just like, I have to roll
Hey,
this
do you
up.
guys want
Please
this?
give it away.
Yeah.
Oh. But, yeah, I mean, I think we're done with that story, so we don't need that tab anymore. Or is
Oh,
that a
that was a
different
This is
different
my
tab.
Other, yeah, my other tab.
What?
one? But, yeah, I mean, as far as it goes, I think that more Republicans are smoking pot, so I think that it is going to become an American issue, quote unquote, which is
Yeah.
also a good thing because it's going to have an effect on like the war on drugs.
Oh, yeah.
All of a sudden, like when everybody, when it's 65, 70, 80, 75% of the country is saying legalize marijuana, then all of a sudden there won't be this big drive to prosecute people who are smoking joints because like that's a waste of police time. That's a waste of taxpayer dollars. It's a waste across the board, and we already know that.
Well, even here in Utah, I think cops are lightening up on it. Matt, do you want to share that story
Yeah,
of
Matt,
yours?
weren't you at a
bachelor party?
not too long ago?
Well, it was a little over a year ago. I was at a bachelor party, and let's just say there was a very large amount of marijuana there and a large amount of smoking marijuana there, and we were being loud, and cops showed up.
But I want you to explain first how strong it was. Like every time you went outside to smoke a cigarette and then walked back
Was
in.
it the dank?
It was the dank. Yeah, you could smell it outside. The cop said, like, when he was walking towards the door, he could smell it.
Yeah.
So the owner of the house, he goes out and talks to the cops, and then we're, like, freaking out, hiding everything,
Yeah.
And the cops came in a few minutes later with the owner of the house, and they just asked what was going on. We said, this is
Our friend
our
here.
friend's bachelor party, and I was actually the next day going to perform the wedding for them, which I did. And the cops were cool. They understand, that it's not that big of a deal. We're just friends hanging out, having a good time. We're not out drunk driving and shit. And they said, just keep it down, turn the radio down. You guys just have fun, He said congratulations on the wedding, and they left.
Yeah.
Because it's not a big deal.
But the cop even told you he could smell it. What did he say anything about that? Like maybe tone it down or anything? Like
I don't remember if he said it. I think he did. He did say like tone it down and turn the music down. So he probably meant like, don't smoke so much or something.
Yeah. But yeah, and that was it. No arrest, nothing.
Nope. Totally cool.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Jeff Sessions wants that cop's name so he can go ahead and fire him.
What a horrible, horrible person. Yeah, he should have arrested all of us and ruined my buddy's wedding, because we had a plant in our other buddy's apartment,
Yeah.
because we had a plant. Damn, we are evil people with plants.
But doesn't the Bible say something about
Yeah, it's the forbidden fruit. Didn't you know that?
No, God put all the herbs on the planet for us to use. I want to get the the devil did it. Yeah, no shit, huh? The devil put that one there though to trick us. I love how theists will fucking mind fuck themselves just to get around certain things.
Mm-hmm. And I think you have the next.
Oh my God, is it my turn to tell stories?
Yeah.
All right, well, okay. Oh wow, all my stories are coming from Science Alert this week.
Not the worst thing with how heavy politics are, but we'll talk about politics later.
Well, I'm trying to avoid. I know we always say we're going to try to avoid politics and stuff, but the thing is we can't. You know what I mean? Like whenever we have certain secular stories or anything like that, it usually involves politics because I don't know. It's whatever. All right, so this story is zebra shark makes world first switch from sexual to asexual reproduction. Pretty cool.
Ooh, kinky.
Okay, so a zebra shark in Australia has become the first recorded case of a shark switching from sexual to asexual reproduction. In April last year, Leonie gave birth to 3 pups called Cleo, Cece, and Gemini in a Queensland aquarium. This sweet but otherwise unremarkable tale would have gone unnoticed by the science world if it weren't for one key detail. Leonie hadn't mated with a male shark since 2012.
Did they do testing on it, like the genetic testing? Because those would be clones, wouldn't they? Or those? Because asexual reproduction
is a clone,
right?
Clone,
yeah.
Really? Okay, well, I don't know. Let's read on and find out. Her previous breeding partner, Leo, with whom she had produced more than 20 offspring, was moved to a new tank at the aquarium in 2013. Leonie hadn't shared a tank with any other males in that time, meaning the 3 pups delivered in 2016 came as something of a surprise. We thought she could be storing sperm, but when we tested the pups and the possible parent sharks using DNA fingerprinting, we found that they only had cells from Leonie. Yeah. So how is this?
What the fuck?
Yeah. How is this possible? Well, sharks breeding asexually is extremely rare, but isn't entirely unheard of. This is possible because, beyond sexual reproduction, there's another way that certain species can asexually reproduce called parthenogenesis. This process allows embryos to develop without being fertilized like they are in sexual reproduction. So it mainly occurs in plants and invertebrate animals, but these virgin births have also been documented in vertebrate animals, including sharks and lizards. But what makes Leonie's case so unusual is it's the first time scientists have seen a shark make the switch from breeding sexually to asexually. In other circumstances where sharks have been observed to breed asexually, the animals did not have any experience with sexual reproduction.
Wow, you know what this means?
Huh.
Mary was a shark.
Oh. She was the shark. No, what happened was Joseph went out of town. Mary had some dudes over, and then fucking when he came back, she was like, "I'm pregnant, but it's a
God.
it's a miracle because I'm still a virgin."
Giggity.
So, let's see here. Blah blah blah. In fact, this is only the third time scientists have seen any species make the switch back to asexual reproduction from past sexual experience. With the other cases being an eagle ray and a boa constrictor, both held in captivity. And this time around, captivity again looks to have been responsible for the change in Leone's circumstances. Let's see here. I don't know. Let's skip ahead. So, let's see. It might be holding on mechanism, Dudgeon told Alice Klein at New Scientists. Mums genes get passed, mums. They're Australian, so it doesn't say mom. So I'm going to read it how I want to. Mom's genes get passed down from female to female until there are males available to mate with. To find out if that's the case, researchers now plan to follow the pups until they reach maturity themselves to find out if Cleo, Cece, and Gemini are capable of breeding with males when their time comes. Let's hope so, because if they can, it would be evidence that these sharks have evolved an amazing ability to keep surviving even when they've been pushed into a tight corner. And with zebra sharks being listed as endangered on the IUCN Red List of threatened species, these animals need all the survival help they can get.
Yeah, I mean, so that's a huge survival mechanism because
it's crazy.
Part of the problem, like with elephants, and the reason why elephants are on the verge of becoming endangered if they're not already, is because they have to have their gestial. I hope I'm saying that right. Period is a long time, like longer than humans. I think it's
like
20
2 years.
Yeah,
or something.
24 months.
And so like you have to have a man and a male and a female, and then they have to raise it because elephants are intelligent. So
Yeah.
they require like being raised.
Yeah.
So like because like you can't repopulate the elephants because you don't have enough breeding pairs that are available to do so all the time. So you have to kind of be really like you have to help it along. And with this, like you can now have a female available more frequently. So
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I was saying, hopefully they kick out enough females to eventually kick out a male. I believe. Is
Yeah.
what it was saying.
Well, yeah, and I think that abiogenesis type of reproduction, since she's a female, she can only produce females. I don't think you can ever get a man unless like their genetics is a bit different. But I think that it will only produce females doing it.
Because they would have to change their chromosome.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
don't they have the same
Yeah, I think that
set up
they're-
as a XY and XX and all that?
Sure, I think that they're like I was saying. I think that would mean that they're clones. It'd be like
Yeah.
having paternal twins or identical twins,
Yeah.
but just all her. So
That's so crazy.
Yeah, it really is. Cool
But-
story.
now you can tell a shark to go fuck itself.
Go fuck yourself, Shaq.
Too late.
Let's see. Wow.
All right, I guess it's my turn.
No, it's not.
Oh,
Go, Josh, go. Go, Josh,
okay,
go.
so it is my
Go,
turn.
Josh, go.
All right, so I am talking about HR 193, and it's called the American Sovereignty Restoration Act of 2017.
It's called bullshit.
Yeah, well, and so it is. It's really bullshit, and I haven't even heard about this until today. Matt was like, "Dude, have you heard about this?" And I was like, "No." And what it is there's actually going to be a bill put on the floor. I don't think it's going to pass. I hope that our politicians aren't that fucking stupid. But what it is it's a bill to withdraw from the United Nations, essentially. Actually, altogether, it's not. It is that. So there's 13 sections to the bill, and it would take effect 2 years after it's passed. And the main sections are withdrawal from the United Nations presence in facilities of the government in the United Nations state, and repeal of diplomacy or diplomatic immunity. So essentially, and it's not just that. So there's the United Nations peacekeeping operations that we'd withdraw from, the United States assessed involuntary contributions to the United States that we would withdraw from. So we wouldn't be funding it. We wouldn't be participating in any meaningful way. And that's so goddamn stupid. Like the United Nations is what we use to negotiate. Like it's the main primary diplomatic thing we have. And so to withdraw from it, like we're essentially saying, fuck you to the world. We're going to do whatever we want. We're not interested in what you have to say about how we conduct ourselves, including with with greenhouse gases, with pollution, with standards. We want to get rid of essentially all of the regulations. It would be a step towards.
And nobody is saying, at least here, that the UN is perfect. And I hear a lot of complaints about the UN. You know, there's shit that I don't like, that Saudi Arabia is in charge of the Human Rights Committee or whatever. And that's bullshit. But to leave the UN is to not look at the bigger picture. I mean, we are all human beings living on this planet, and we need to do our best to try and come together and unite the world. I mean, that's the only way we're going to survive and possibly get off this rock and onto other planets and try and become interplanetary, you know, so we can keep our species going.
Yeah, and if we withdraw from the United Nations, that's going to have a huge global economic impact.
Yeah.
And it also means that we're probably going to get back entangled in the Middle East in a new way, because we're done with any real peacekeeping effort. It also probably implies that we're done with any attempt to bring down fossil fuel consumption, and that means we'll probably tap into the Canadian resources and our resources more. And I'm talking about natural gas and coal and gasoline, so oil.
Could it also be a big fuck you to the world, saying, look, we're going to start doing whatever the fuck we want. If you want to go to war with us, fine.
No, so here's the thing about war. War is unpopular not just with the population, but it's really unpopular with, like, if we were to invade Europe or get in war with China.
Or Russia.
It'd be really unpopular because it would of how it would affect the international businesses. So international businesses which have an unfortunate amount of influence in the United States in our policies. I think that because of the international businesses, we're unlikely to go to war against another superpower, but definitely like the Middle East, because Lockheed Martin, Boeing, all the war machine companies, those companies want us to go to war in the Middle East because we're not playing with any other international businesses.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why the Middle East is a popular target, not to mention the oil that they're on.
Yeah, the resources.
Yeah, so I don't think it's going to be like, fuck you, we're going to go to war with you. It's like, fuck any regulations you want to put on us.
Oh, okay.
And while regulations are expensive, they exist for a fucking reason.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want to be breathing toxic air. We don't want the polar caps to melt. We don't want all of this thing, or all of the negative shit that comes with deregulating the businesses in the United States.
It's like Bernie said at a town hall just recently when they asked him, audience member asked him about regulations, and, oh, you guys just want to put all these pointless regulations on our businesses. And he said, no, if the regulation is dumb, then of course I don't want it. We'll get rid of it. But all these regulations, or most of them, should be there to, like Josh said, to keep the air clean, to keep the water clean, to keep us healthy. They're there for a fucking reason.
Yeah.
So hopefully this bill dies in the House floor and we never hear of it again, because it's stupid. And I mean, like, the UN is our, like, essentially the baby of the United States. It's how we carry such a large stick diplomatically. It's how we got, because we're in the UN, it's how we got enough people to the table to get the sanctions against Iran to make Iran stop their nuclear program. But the Republicans want to act like this somehow empowers Iran, or that peace treaty somehow empowered Iran, or also how we're like on the short end of the stick, when it's really what gives us the biggest diplomatic stick.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, big sticks.
We like big sticks.
And you cannot lie.
Oh yeah. All right, guys, have you ever seen this? The Highlights Kids magazine?
No.
You haven't ever seen this magazine?
Actually, yeah, okay.
Maybe back in the day. It kind of looks familiar, but I haven't seen it in decades.
All right. Well, I hope our listeners know what it is. The Highlights Kid magazine. Well, they are going to start putting gay parent couples, in the magazine.
Okay.
And this Pastor Swanson, he doesn't like that very much.
Oh.
He's kind of a douche. So during yesterday's episode of Kevin Swanson's Generations radio show, the anti-LGBTQ pastor claimed that the popular children's magazine, Highlights, was just as bad as ISIS because the magazine stated that it will soon feature same-sex parents. Swanson compared videos released by ISIS, which show young kids murdering prisoners, to Highlights since it will encourage the support for the sin of homosexuality among kids.
What?
I know.
This guy is confused.
So listen to this quote by him. So now, here's Highlights magazine, an American kids magazine promoting homosexuality amongst kids, Swanson ranted. And now ISIS is teaching kids how to kill people? Now, I got to thinking, which sin is worse? Homosexuality or murder? Which is worse? Are we really that much better than ISIS?
God, you know what though?
I'm sure if this guy had the chance, he'd murder homosexuals,
Sure.
though, just like ISIS.
But Pastor Swanson actually,
Exactly, Joe.
Pastor Swanson helps causes like ours because people hear him say something like that. Like they hear these black and white pastors that say all sin is the same. It's just as bad. You're going to hell. Blah blah blah. And it's like people have enough common sense to tell the difference between a gay couple and murder. Like
yeah.
Like, so you're hurt. It helps our cause because it makes these guys seem like fucking morons.
Yeah.
And hopefully people hear those quotes and take a second and actually reflect like he wants them to and think, why am I listening to somebody who thinks murder's the same as having sex with somebody you love who happens to be the same gender?
Yeah.
Like, hopefully they take a moment and think, Mary down the street who is also married to Susan, she's not as bad as ISIS. She's really not.
Or some crazy murderer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's locked up in jail right now.
Mary-
Why? Because he murdered people.
Mary and Susan are probably awesome people that one of them's a school teacher and a nurse or something.
Probably. But Pastor Swanson can't tell the difference.
Yeah.
Yep, he's a prick.
Stupid Swanson.
He can go fuck himself
Yes.
and make Pastor Swanson
Clones.
asexual clones.
God, that would make the world a worse place.
Yeah.
You just start saying that. Go make asexual clones. Oh, joy. I need more coffee, Matt.
Well, it's your turn for a story.
Wait, did you just tell a story?
Yep.
Yeah, Pastor Swanson.
Oh, okay. Beep, deep, doo. Oh, science alert. Beep, beep, deep, boo. Is that the...
Dun 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 dun.
Joe. I'm going to do that every time. And I can tell he's pissed and he's annoyed. And that's why I'm going to do it.
That's not how you make friends.
It's not. You don't antagonize them until their breaking point, and then right when they're about to break, you ease them down. Chill. It's okay. I won't do it again. It's okay. And then they become relaxed, and you don't do it the next time. But then the time after that,
You ramp it up and do it twice as bad.
exactly. Yeah.
Ah, now I know your scheme.
Mm-hmm.
False hope. False hope.
Okay, so natural selection is causing a decline in human education genes, says scientists. The genes that predispose people to attain higher levels of education have been in decline over the past 80 years, and researchers are suggesting that they're now under negative selection, which could have a big impact on our species in the coming centuries. A study involving more than 100,000 people in Iceland found that those who carry the genes for longer education time were less likely to have a big family, which means the smartest people in the room were actually contributing less to the Iceland gene pool. This reminds me exactly...
Yeah, this is Idiocracy.
Yeah, the very beginning of Idiocracy. That is so fucking funny. As a species, we're defined by the power of our brains. Education is the training and refining of our mental capacities, said Carrie Stevenson, or however you want to say it with an Icelandic accent. Stevenson, CEO of the Icelandic Genetics from DE Code, which ran the study. Sorry, I'm having a hard time concentrating because I can hear my baby screaming.
Do we need to take a second?
No, Holly's got her. Let's see here. Thus, it is fascinating to find the genetic factors linked to more time spent in education are becoming rarer in the gene pool. To be clear, this does not necessarily mean that humans are getting dumber. We're going to need a whole lot more evidence to get anywhere near a conclusion like that. There's also the fact that more people are getting access to education than ever before. So even if less education people are having more offspring, non-genetic factors like more schools could counteract and even eclipse the effect. But if we look at the trend over the course of several centuries into the future, well, beyond the proliferation of schools and training access, the researchers say it could have a significant effect on our species in the long run. It is remarkable to report changes. There are measurable across the several decades covered by this study. The study concludes. Let's see here. I'm going to skip ahead a bit because it's.
So while you skip ahead, Matt, have you seen Idiocracy?
Oh yeah.
So I just kind of want to explain it while Joe gets that to position. Is that in Idiocracy, like what it shows is like this college couple or this, and as opposed to this redneck couple. And you see the redneck couple, all of a sudden they have 2-3 kids, and then the college couple is still going through college. They graduate, and then all of a sudden you see 4 or 5 kids on the redneck side, and then the college couple is now trying to have kids, and they haven't been able to. And then you see 7 or 8 kids on the redneck side, and then at like 10 years they start blaming each other for why they can't get pregnant on the college side. And then all of a sudden they have 12 kids with the rednecks, and because of that dumbing down supposedly, which is obviously a gross simplification of anything that could happen, is the reason why the most average human being in the world, when he travels to the future, becomes the smartest person in the world.
And then they make him president and everything, right?
No, it was the porn star who was president.
Oh, that's right.
America.
All right, so in spite of the negative selection against these sequence variations, education levels have been increasing for decades, which I stated before. Indeed, we control the environment in which these genetic factors play out, the education system. If we continue to improve the availability and quality of educational opportunities, we will presumably continue to improve the educational level of society as a whole. Time will tell whether the decline of the genetic propensity, fucking shit, for education will have a notable impact on human society. The study has been published in Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences.
Yeah, and so, I mean, it's, okay, so first off, I have to say, like, it's a 40-year study, or even if it's a 60-year study where they've been gathering genetic evidence and measuring head sizes, it's so far away from being able to say that something evolutionary has happened or is going to happen or anything like that, because evolution is like, it takes millions and millions of years usually to have a notable change, and at least hundreds of thousands of years to have a decent impact. And scientists have already thought that the human brain is shrinking, and that's because of the same reason that animal brains shrink. It's because of domestication, where you don't need to have all these aggressive abilities because you're now living somewhat comfortably.
Yeah.
So now all you need to do is learn how to propagate living comfortably, and you'll be fine as a species.
Yeah, and then also the article does say this is all speculation, is only based on one country, and it's incredibly difficult to predict what's going to happen to humans in the distant future. So I just wanted to point that out there too, because it just in one country so far. But
it's interesting.
But it's
redneck religious people. Stop fucking, please.
Yeah.
But even if they stop fucking, they can fuck themselves and then reproduce abiogenically.
Oh, god damn it. We're fucked.
We are screwed.
Alrighty. Well, guys, I have a little story to you, whatever. You know what I'm saying.
For us, by us.
Yes.
I wish I knew how to speak well.
So this former Rhode Island state representative, he called this atheist chick an evil little thing. And that was a few years ago. But now he was arrested for embezzlement. Who's the evil little thing now? So, in January of 2012, just days after Jessica Alquist won her lawsuit to take down a religious mural from Cranston High School West, Rhode Island State Representative Peter Palumbo went on the John DiPetro show and called her an evil little thing, quickly adding that even if she wasn't evil, she was being coerced into fighting her lawsuit by evil people. Just to reiterate, an elected government official was name-calling a teenager because she was defending the Constitution. That's how messed up it was. Palumbo got caught up in the middle of a contract scandal a couple of years later in 2014, and it may have been the main reason he lost his seat in the state house. That November, after 19 years in office. And the secular karma isn't done yet. Yesterday, Palumbo was arrested on charges that he stole tens of thousands of dollars from his own campaign. The former representative appeared in court to face charges related to campaign finance discrepancies. Specifically, a Rhode Island Board of Elections audit revealed that Palumbo did not accurately report $60,000 in cash withdrawals from his campaign funds. Investigators dug in further, finding withdrawals of $16,000 from ATMs at 7 different casinos around the country over 5 years.
So he's a gambler, huh?
Yeah, so I'm guessing he would travel the country and, maybe it was official business, maybe it wasn't, but he was going to ATMs and withdrew
$17,000 or $16,000 at casinos.
I'd be willing to bet that he was entertaining somebody too.
You think like a mistress or
Sure, something like that. I bet you. I mean, because you go to the casino, like that's you take out money, you start playing, you get a little drunk, and then all of a sudden you got those stacks in front of you. You get some attention from the ladies, and then, I mean, like that's speculation, obviously, but usually that's how that works. And then the temptation of either the gambling or the lady friends or the lady attention. You go get more money to continue on.
Is that why you don't drink when you gamble?
No, I don't drink at all. I actually was pretty good about not getting those two mixed together because, I mean, I'd get drunk and play poker. And I have won lots of money drunk poker, and I've lost lots of money drunk poker. So, but staying away from the ladies in the casino is not hard for me to do because I just don't. Yeah, when I get attention at a casino, I know what it is, and I know that it's not a path I want to go down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like being clean.
Yeah, because you don't want to have to go visit a doctor a week later. And
are you guys still talking about booze?
No, we were talking about prostitutes, pretty much.
Oh, I left the room for a second. I thought you were still talking about booze, so I was going to do this.
And I don't have anything against sex work or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's not for me, and that's fine.
Yeah.
It's just not a thing that I'm interested in.
Well, that's cool.
I'll just say there's a time and place.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas? Is that what you're saying?
Or Wendover or wherever this dude was at.
Yeah, where was this guy at?
7 different casinos all across the country.
All right, so I got another story, guys.
Sure.
Okay, so SpaceX just nailed a rocket landing and is officially back in business. Go SpaceX. SpaceX successfully launched its first rocket in almost 5 months on Saturday, deploying 10 satellites into space and then landing the reusable part of the rocket perfectly on a drone ship in the Pacific Ocean. It's the company's first launch since a Fireball engulfed a similar rocket on the launch pad back on the 1st of September 2016. The entire SpaceX fleet has been grounded ever since, while an official investigation looked into what went wrong. Amidst rumors of possible sabotage. I did not know that. It's a clean sweep, 10 for 10, says SpaceX launch commentator John Insprucker in the launch footage below. Mission looks good, SpaceX founder Elon Musk posted on Twitter. Rocket is stable. It's now been determined that the September explosion was due to a helium canister bursting inside of the rocket's second-stage liquid oxygen tank, and SpaceX has changed its refueling process to prevent this happening in the future. They're also redesigning the canister for future rockets. You can see Saturday's launch go down without a hitch in the video below. It's pretty long, showing all the pre- and post-prep procedures, but liftoff happens from around the 1830 mark, and shortly afterwards, the second stage of the rocket, the part that takes the satellites into space, separates. The really good part happens at around 26 minutes in, when the rocket's first stage, the reusable part plummets back down to Earth and lands itself perfectly on a drone ship floating in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
So that's what's new, because they've taken a satellite or a rocket that became a satellite because it was going around the Earth and landed it, but they haven't. They're reusing parts of the rocket, the detachable parts. That's interesting.
Yeah, and just go check out the video. The video is awesome,
and it'll be linked on the Evil Atheist Facebook page. I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be cool.
But that was this Saturday, yesterday.
I don't think so. They said that there might be sabotage. I think that's speculation.
It was rumors. It was rumors.
I think that's speculation. I think that from what I read on a different source is that it was the way that they were fueling the ship. They were transitioning the fuel to a different area with using a cool but new helium thing, and so it was some sort of system that they had that failed.
That's what it says. It was a helium canister bursting inside the rocket's second stage liquid oxygen tank, and so they've moved it.
Yeah, well, and they moved it, and they went back to an old fueling system, which is fine. I mean, it's compared to the steps that they're taking forward, a small step backwards is nothing. And Elon Musk, God bless Elon Musk. Did you know? So there's the new electric car that came out by, I don't remember what manufacturer, but it's a big one like Mazda or something like that. And they were able to come out with that because Elon Musk released all of his patents without he wrote off all of his patents so that anybody could make those motors. Yeah,
I really think he cares about the future of our species. You know what I mean?
Someone told
everything
me
he does is just awesome.
Someone told me he's on the cabinet for Trump.
Who told you that?
God, it was somebody on Facebook. I didn't look into it, though. I was wondering if you guys knew anything about that.
If that was true, I would be happy about it, but I guarantee I would be shocked. I'd be shocked and pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I mean, it might be true, but it seems weird because he's a pro-science kind of guy. I don't see him being in a cabinet with a bunch of not pro-science guys.
So he has some ties to Donald Trump. Trump names Elon Musk Uber CEO to advisory team. So he seems to be in an advisory team that's different than the cabinet.
Oh, okay.
But even then, I'm glad that he's listening to somebody who's not fucking insane.
What is the advisory
Uber
team?
CEO to advisory team? Yeah, that's
that's what essentially it's an unofficial position. It doesn't need to go through questioning and stuff like that, and it's essentially just saying the president can call him and ask him questions about stuff.
Okay, well, I like that. I hope he calls him more than the other guy that he's appointing.
Well, yeah, there's a few different people. Kellyanne Conway's on his advisory team. The one guy from Breitbart is on his advisory team. So, I mean, it's really an unofficial. Well, it's an official position, but it's on a very informal board compared to like his cabinet.
Mm-hmm. They don't get questioned by any sort of Senate committee or anything.
Yeah,
right?
because they're not elected. It's just like he's got them on speed dial.
Gotcha.
But yeah, hopefully Elon Musk talks some sense into him and advises him that global warming is the thing he needs to take serious. Because this is another thing that people are becoming aware of global warming because of the effects. Like when you start seeing parts of Louisiana getting ravaged by flooding and ravaged by hurricanes, and you see the East Coast getting hit by the worst hurricanes we've seen, Hurricane Matthew.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh. But like, I mean, these things in the water doesn't recede the way it used to. Like, global warming, the effects of global warming are sticking, and it's unfortunate. But by the time we have enough symptoms that we'll probably be 80% convinced as a country, it'll probably be too little, too late.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see.
Yeah, 2016 was the hottest year on record, and it beat out the last year. 2015, which beat out the last year, 2014.
4 out of 5 hottest years have been in the last 5 years.
Now, I also heard that, what is it? We have people up in the poles, Antarctica and the North Pole or whatever, but the people at Antarctica had to basically leave because of all the ice melt. And
Yeah, I haven't heard that. I don't know.
Crazy.
Yeah.
All right, I think it's back to you, man.
No, it's all you, buddy.
Oh, we're to the finals portion of it.
Yeah, it is all you, Big Papa.
Okay, so for the last little bit of this, the last 15 to 20 minutes or so, we wanted to kind of just have like an open discussion about like how we feel about the inauguration, how we feel about the Republican Party having control, the things we were pessimistic about, things we're optimistic about, and like the protesters and what we think the action against this camp or this presidency and Republican Congress, what it's going to look like. So Matt, why don't you kick us off? How do you feel about everything?
First of all, I want to comment on the protesters. Somebody, my follower on Facebook said this, and I think it's perfect. Protesters are patriots, but people that are looting and vandalizing and burning and breaking, they are not patriots. You know, if you were out there protesting, that's awesome. You do you, that's cool. But if you're breaking windows of a Starbucks, you know, that's ridiculous. First of all, it's just vandalism. It's pointless. And Starbucks, they're like pro-gay rights and shit. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just wrong on multiple levels and makes no sense. So get out there, protest, run for office, and try and do something positive, not negative.
Yeah, and we have a buddy who's running for office. We have had him on before, Josh, and we'll have to have him on again just to kind of talk about things. Because his positions are sound, but I don't know if he knows enough about law. But it would be good to have him on and just to talk about it.
What is he running for?
U.S. Senate.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. So first, people who run for the first time, especially if they've never run for like a state level office, they have a lot of barriers in front of them. So we'll have to ask him and talk to him about that when we have him on. But yeah, hopefully, best of luck to Josh. I mean, he sounds like he knows what he wants to do and he knows about the policies and stuff. But Joe, what do you think about President Trump and the Republican Congress?
Yeah, I don't know. You know how I feel about it. It's dumb, but I wouldn't go and destroy buildings and stuff like that. I'm totally against the vandalism and the violence too.
Let's stop talking about the protesters for a moment.
Okay.
So the feeling of we had the feeling of dread. At least me and Matt have talked about it in the past. Like we would hang out and just chat, and like there is this overwhelming sense of dread when you like really Donald Trump is going to be our president. I mean, so there's that like, and it sucks because Donald Trump is he's a moron, for lack of a better term. He doesn't know how to run a country. He's incompetent on managing stuff, and we'll have to. I mean, we're going to see this in full effect in our presidency. Yeah. So, I mean, there's that dread. Is that how you feel right now?
Yeah, that's how I feel right now, especially after his first day. He fucking signed some mortgage bill that's gonna make it harder for at least 40,000 families to get homes now. And stuff like, I don't know. It's just going to get worse and worse. But also, I saw a lot of the same things coming with Hillary too. So
yeah. And Matt, do you feel the same way?
I feel the same way. I think it would definitely be better if Hillary was in office, but still shitty if she would have won.
So we put out a video or go ahead, finish.
Oh, I was just going to say, but I am optimistic in the sense that I see everybody talking about it. There's marches all over the world. There's marches all over the country, and people are out there, and everybody's talking about midterm elections. I don't remember everybody talking about midterm elections since I've been, involved in politics and thinking about politics. Everybody is amped up, ready to go, and when midterm elections come, I think and I hope that we're going to see a change.
Yeah, and so I think there's a lot of reason to be optimistic. And I want to ask one more question before we move on. So during the primaries back a year ago, and this is our most popular video to date, it was titled "Hillary Clinton Gets Destroyed by Liberal Podcast," because we're liberal pretty much on most issues, not on all issues. We're somewhat centrist on some issues. But would you guys regret do you guys regret that video, I guess, is the easiest way, or that podcast?
No, because at that point, we were fighting for Bernie, and Bernie should have had the nomination, and he should be the president.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. The DNC fucked themselves. The DNC completely fucked themselves by the way they pushed Bernie out and enforced their fucking queen onto us. You know what I mean? So, and I've said this 1,000 times, and I'm sure I've said it on the podcast 1,000 times. I know so many Republicans who left, who switched over to Democrat just so they could vote for Bernie. And so the DNC, I imagine, thought, oh, look at all these Democrats coming out to vote. You know, let's push Hillary. Let's push Hillary. Let's get Bernie out here. As soon as fucking they pushed Bernie out, all those fucking Republicans I knew switched back over to the Republican
And they
side,
probably ended up voting
and
for
they
Trump.
voted for Trump. You know, and it's sad. If the DNC would have just let it ran how it should have ran, Bernie Sanders would have gotten the nomination, and then he would have beat the shit out of Trump. So many people I know who voted for Trump were going to vote for Bernie Sanders, but they saw Trump as the next best thing.
Okay, so and then I have a follow-up question for you, Joe. So I think it's fair to say you were Bernie or bust. Had
correct.
the DNC not put their finger on the scale and Hillary Clinton won, with total fair, open elections, open primaries, all of that stuff, and
Without voter suppression and
the superdelegates not being counted until the very end when they should have been counted.
yeah.
If that all happens that way and Hillary still wins, do you vote for Hillary in that case?
I vote with my conscience, and I know I'm one of the only people who do that. You know, I don't vote blue no matter who, you know. I'm sure if there was a convicted child molester and they, you know, and it was the Democratic nominee, hundreds of thousands of Democrats would vote for that person. I'm not going to do that.
Sure, but my point is the reason that I found it unconscionable to vote for Hillary in a state that didn't matter like Utah, because
Yeah.
I don't think I know for a fact my vote wouldn't have made a difference. I think that if what made it unconscionable was the DNC.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
I think I would have voted for Hillary Clinton had the scales not been, like the
Tipped towards her.
superdelegates and all that stuff had been tipped towards her.
You know what? Maybe I would have. But yeah, being a Bernie fan and doing all that research and watching all the videos and seeing all the evidence of the DNC, tipping the scales, putting their finger on the scale, you know, and doing all that, it fucking really pissed me off.
Well, the sad thing is, just the other day there was a debate between Democratic politicians. Did you guys see this?
Yeah.
And one of the questions asked was, do you think the DNC unfairly favored Hillary and maybe, you know, affected the results, you know, the outcome? And they all said no.
Really?
Yes.
See, they're part of. These are Democrats.
No, some of them are like, I know that I want Keith Ellison to run the DNC.
Yeah, Keith Ellison was in there. Wasn't Booker? I think Booker was in the
So it was
debate.
all the people. It was politicians.
Yes.
Then.
Well, yeah, because
So of course they're gonna fucking say no.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, like Keith Ellison is who I want to run the DNC, because Bernie Sanders isn't running for the position, and Bernie Sanders supports Keith Ellison running the DNC because he knows he's going to be a fair person.
Yeah.
And Keith Ellison also fights for the same exact issues on the ticket that Bernie Sanders does, like to a T.
Yeah.
So I mean, I haven't heard that question. I haven't heard that specifically or come out of the DNC. I've heard some other things, like should somebody apologize to Keith Ellison for calling him anti-Semite. And Keith Ellison didn't say yes. He it was weird. It was interesting. He said he had some conversations with him off record, but so I've heard about that. But so I think that there's reason to be optimistic about this presidency, and not that anything's going to get better. I think that it's only going to get worse.
Yeah.
But I think that we're going to see the left, and hopefully it's not just here in the United States. Hopefully it's around the world. But I think we're going to see a shift to the left, where now people who are so used to saying, well, it's because of President Obama that things are bad. As things get worse, they're not going to have President Obama to blame. And also the politicians and the talk show hosts, like, now it's time for you to put up. Like, now show us some results. If it's now your turn. It's your move. You won. So now show us what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And as long as we stay on that message, as I guarantee the results are going to get worse for people who like, there was that housing bill that got passed
on the first day.
Yes.
Essentially, what it does is it has something to do with insurance, and it makes it so low-income families are paying an extra $500 a month.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. $500 a month for a low-income family, that's a lot of fucking money.
Yeah.
Or I think $500 a year, maybe. I may have been wrong. But still, $500 a year for a low-income family, that is a lot of money. That can push them out of their mortgage. You know? And they can lose their homes. And, well, you want to know why $500 a fucking month is a lot of money? Because there's not a $15 minimum wage, you fucking retards.
But, so Matt,
Sorry.
I
love Bernie. I wish Bernie was here.
Yeah,
Miss you, Bernie. Wish you were
but
president.
he's still fighting for progressive issues.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the thing that I take away from this, the Donald Trump presidency, is
you gotta go harder. Come on.
Whoa,
Hey,
man.
yo, bro.
Every time, man.
Yeah.
so the thing I take away from this is that now is the time that we can actually show our strength if we want to fight back, and we know who to target. Like this is something that I talked about. Like if Trump does something bad, we can boycott Trump Towers. We can picket in front of Trump Towers. We can stop eating at Carl's Jr. because the guy who's now fighting against even having a minimum wage is the owner of Carl's Jr.
Really?
Yeah. So we can boycott Carl's Jr. We can boycott ExxonMobil. We can go to. We would have to do the research and find out who it is that or what gas stations we can go to because ExxonMobil fuels a lot of the gas stations. But I mean, like, and I've never compared to the people who went out and voted. And this is one of the things Donald Trump said. Let me actually read this quote.
So real quick, while you're looking for that, Obama set up premium cuts that were going to be made for housing.
Yeah.
Insurance, homeowners insurance, and Trump basically, with an executive order, just canceled those cuts that were going to go into effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Essentially helping who, man?
The insurance companies.
Yeah. Oh, wait. That's like the opposite of draining the swamp, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, it's
Fucking
obvious.
Cocksucker. All the people who voted for him. I mean, come on. Are you serious? Did you really think he was going to drain the swamp and lock her up?
It's his turn to prove it. It's time for him to put up or shut up. Put up or move aside. And so when he doesn't put up, because it's going to take some time for people to realize what's going on. So all we have to do is just stay on message and be honest about what's going on, and the truth will become apparent to everybody.
You know what I like? I like how Bernie Sanders got so popular that now all the cameras are on him.
Sure.
And he's fucking calling all these people out.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it sucks that the cameras were avoiding him when the primaries were going on because they didn't want to empower him because he's an honest threat to a lot of corporate interests.
Yeah.
And so now that he's not, now they want to get the ratings because they want their TV shows to be watched, so the advertisements are watched. And so that's why they have the cameras on Bernie Sanders. But what they don't understand is that the message that Bernie Sanders is saying is going to resonate. Like,
oh yeah,
it has resonated, and it's changed millions of people's lives. Like,
yeah.
But so there were the protests, and this is really the side of the protests I want to talk about. It was millions of people came out across the country yesterday to go and go to the state houses and say, hey, our rights are, and it was a women's march. It was to say, like, we have rights. Don't forget them. And if you try to forget them, this is the wrath that you're going to incur politically. They weren't trying to say that we're going to, like, start burning down buildings and shit.
Yeah.
They're saying that politically, this is what you're going to have to deal with.
Well, in the women's march, it was on 7 different continents. Like, it was the first in history.
Yeah, and hopefully, and again, the whole world has gone to the right, which is when this doesn't work, as long as we don't fall into a war, like if we don't get involved in a ton of wars, it's going to essentially show what the right is made out of.
Yeah.
And so I'm actually...
And it will push people left, hopefully?
Yeah, I'm optimistic that people will see the Republican and the right wing across the world for what it really is, and it's a self-centered, business-centered branch of the government in all countries. Yeah. And hopefully someday we have money out of politics where we can see what the right really is.
Yeah.
And
you know what, honestly, and part of the left. I mean, come on. The left is turning into a self-centered political business that wants money as well.
Absolutely, and money out of politics is the key. If we can get money out of politics, I would guarantee so many of these issues and problems would go away.
Well, and the first one that would go away would be climate change, because countries that are investing, China is investing to become the #1 renewable energy provider.
They just shut down like 8 coal plants.
Yeah, and so when China surpasses us in not having to use oil, not having to import oil, not having to rely on other countries to get their power, they're going to have a huge economic advantage. And we're going to see that shift. And the Republicans are going to, oh, it's because we import businesses or export businesses there, and they're going to try and make us more isolationist. Hopefully we wake up to the fact that that's not it, that we need to invest in infrastructure, including renewable energy sources.
Yeah. So China shuts down a bunch of coal companies, and Friday, the White House website eliminates the climate change page and puts in a page about energy and coal.
And they got rid of the women's rights page. They got rid of the
LGBT.
And they put up a police page now.
Yeah,
like,
instead
we're
of-
there for you, police.
And they took down the civil rights page and replaced it with the police page.
Are you fucking
And
kidding me?
I'm fine
I'm
with
not.
having a police page.
Yeah.
But have a civil rights page, have
Yeah.
an LGBT page, have a
Yeah.
climate change page. This is and I know I don't like Hillary, but if Hillary was in there, that LGBT page would still be there. The fucking climate change page would still be there.
Yeah, the civil rights page would still be there.
Yeah.
And civil rights is human rights. It's not. It's they look at the demographics that are most affected by the lack of civil rights or the lack of rights, and that's unfortunately the poor urban communities that are predominantly. I had to do it once just for you guys.
Oh, thanks, Josh.
Predominantly African American, and so that's why people associate civil rights with black people only. But it's human rights. Like, that's what civil rights are.
Absolutely.
But the thing that I want to read from Trump is that he watched protests yesterday, and this is on Twitter, of fucking course. Quote, watched protests yesterday, but was under the impression that we had an election. Why didn't these people vote? And so there's part of that that's true, and part of that that's false. Donald Trump lost the popular vote. He lost it by a wide margin.
3 million.
Yeah. And that's just absurd. And it goes to show that part of the system is bad. And if we continue this right-wing side, if I were in California, I'd be clamoring to leave the state too, to cede the country.
Also, it makes me wonder too, and how many agent provocateurs are fucking running around with these protesters? Because I've watched a lot of videos where the protesters are sitting there looking at the people who are throwing rocks and breaking shit and all this stuff, and a lot of the protesters are yelling, "Stop! Stop doing that." They don't want to be seen that way. And you get all these crazy fuckers thinking it's an opportunity to go break something, but it makes me wonder how many of those crazy fuckers doing that are just agent provocateurs.
And there's that, and then there's opportunistic people who are criminals who are like, yeah, riots, chaos, I like this shit because I'm going to go and get mine. And so, like, there's aspects to the protest that I really don't think has to do with the protesters. Of course, that's what the cameras are going to focus on because, that's what sells, or that's what gets eyeballs.
That's what they get, how they get their ratings.
But the point of me reading that quote is that yes, you need to. Hopefully, you take this gauntlet that Trump threw down and saying, for all the people who didn't vote, who showed up to the protest, hopefully you realize that your vote matters, that voting matters. And that you personally, if you didn't vote, you might have made you might have swung the election. It was 48% of the country voted, so less than a majority of the country voted, and then a quarter of that, less than half of that percentage of the country decided who was our president.
Yeah,
and so you need to vote. It's absolutely important if you care about any issue at all.
and those are eligible voters too, right? 48%.
Yeah,
of
and
eligible voters.
I would have to look it up. I should have the stats before I start saying the stats, but it was like half the country and less than half of that. So
it's not like like children and all that stuff, people who can't vote, but those are people who are eligible to vote.
So I just looked this up. Heavy.com, according to them, they say that 231,556 or 231,556,000 Americans were eligible to vote, and only 138 million did, which means that approximately 40% of the country did not vote. So it would be less than 30% of the country decided who won.
Yeah, see, because I got in an argument with someone online, and I was like, Trump's an idiot. The country does not want Trump. And she was like, more than half of the country voted for Trump. That's why he won. And I was like, actually, less than half of the country voted, and then, I gave her, and then a little more than half of that voted for Hillary because Hillary won the popular vote.
Yep.
So I just pointed that out to her, and she was like, oh, like she didn't understand that. Like,
People don't understand shit.
yeah, no, they don't. They don't do research and stuff. And I was like, yeah, less. And I said, and that's eligible voters. That's what
Yeah.
I told her. I was like,
Well, now
only
it's
half,
not. It's not
less than half eligible voters.
60%.
Voted.
60% did. So it was
Oh,
more
okay.
than half of the eligible voters did vote, but less
Yeah.
than half of that. So like 28% of the country decided who our president was. And
Yeah.
really, the numbers, what killed us, what killed Hillary from winning, it was not the people who voted, but the people who didn't vote in the two states that mattered, which I think it was Michigan, Wisconsin.
I think so.
If 10,000 more
Did they
voters,
really like Bernie there? I think they really liked
well, I
Bernie
think Bernie
there, right?
Bernie won in an upset in Michigan, and he might have won in Wisconsin. But
Yeah,
I
see,
think,
and you know
think
what?
He would have
You
won
want to
by
know
a
who
landslide.
screwed them over right there?
But yeah,
Probably the DNC. They pissed off all the people.
possibly. But people didn't feel motivated to go out and vote. Is what I'm saying. If the people there who turned out for Obama years turned out because only those two states or only like 5 states voted less in this election than in the last election. And actually, I think Hillary won a bigger vote total because so many Californians went out and voted.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, be involved, involved in the issues, protest. I mean, it's your right, and that's the weird thing. Like I see people like posting stuff complaining about protesters, and like Tommy, whatever the fuck her name is,
Teleprompter Tommy.
yeah, Tommy Prompter, but like she wants to say, oh, protesters don't know what they're doing. Yes, we do. Protesters are demonstrating their First Amendment rights. The people who are rioting should be arrested, and
Yeah.
I hope that there's enough footage. If you see a rioter while you're protesting, take footage and turn it over to the police. Like that's what you should do.
Absolutely.
But the point of protesting is to say, yeah, we're involved in the issues. We care. We
Yeah.
care. Like, and that's the thing that people will say, don't go out and protest, or protesters are stupid, or protests are pointless. What you're showing is that you have people behind an issue, enough people behind an issue that care enough about it that they will vote against you.
Yeah.
So,
And a lot of these what's funny too is I see a lot of these people, usually people on the right, and they're mad about all these protests and stuff, and they completely forget that that the right protested strongly against Obama as well, and a lot of pretty racist shit too, And it was
Yeah.
mostly, I think, about race, Here we're mad that someone who is going to pass racist laws,
Or at least said he would.
or said he would, is in office, so we're protesting against bigotry. But then fucking when Obama was elected, they just straight up protested because they were bigots.
Yes.
sure, and I don't begrudge anybody the right to protest. I've never once in my entire life complained about protests. Like,
Yeah.
that's just a thing that Americans have as a right. It's in the First Amendment.
Yeah.
Like, it's guaranteed. And same with speech. I strongly advocate for free speech. People who say, and this is something that I've seen on the far left, quote unquote, but in supposedly people who are fighting for equal rights and shit, they say that they don't care about freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is nonsense, or freedom of speech is just an idea, and it's not anything. Like, those people are equally, those people in my mind are actually a lot worse than people who are saying racist, bigoted shit because they're trying to suppress people's rights.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm just going to keep saying absolutely.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
I think that's all
Absolutely.
I've got. I think that's the message I wanted to get across. So stick with the issues, stay involved, and get involved. If you're not involved, this is now a perfect time to. Like, let's start showing up to events and stuff and talk about the issues and educate ourselves about the issues and start educating others. Like, that's when we become the most useful. And that's really my goal for this next 2 years, is to educate people and not not issue based. I actually think that me getting involved in the issues at this point would be a negative thing. But I want to teach people critical thinking skills.
Yeah.
Like, that's my number one thing.
And midterm elections. Don't forget about midterm elections.
And also, if you're friends with someone who's protesting and they're being violent and whatever, let them know that they're hurting the cause and they're not helping it at all. But I don't know. Agent provocateurs, that's all I got to say.
Well, thanks for listening, guys. You can find this podcast on Spreaker and on YouTube. Remember to go check out our other YouTube channels, ZZZ Giant Awake and The Evil Atheists. And you can go on Facebook, The Evil Atheists, closed group. Ask to join. We'll let you in. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
See you later, homies.
Think passionate.